So, Agents of SHEILD Season 5. Now that the show finally hit Netflix, I can review it. The first 3 seasons of the show were good, but not great. However, Season 4 stepped things up a notch. Seasons 4 and 5 have been great. So I'll try to keep this review as spoiler-free as I can, but I'll spoil some minor stuff just because I'll be talking about the whole season. I'm also going to do something I haven't done in a while, and that's divide the review up into 3 sections: plot, character, and theme. And while I'll try to discuss these 3 aspects one at a time, they will bleed over into each other a little bit. So for part 1, plot. The first arc in the season is about the team being transported to the future where Earth has been destroyed, and the very few humans that survived are ruled over by the Kree in a place called the Lighthouse. Now this arc is really good. It's dark, it's intense, it's gritty, and it always leaves you wanting more. It introduces some new good characters like Deke and Tess and Flint. I'll talk about them more in the character section. Now the bad guy in this arc is a Kree named Cassius, and he's okay. I'll talk about him more in the character section too. This arc contributes thematically to the show a lot, by showing that even when humans have lost everything, they can still make the choice to be good. And now the second half of the season is about the team trying to stop this future from happening. And to do this, they have to stop somebody from getting superpowers. This arc is good, but it's a little bit weaker. It introduces some new characters like Ruby and General Hale, and it also develops some older characters more, like Carl Creel or General Talbot and Werner von Strucker. However, this arc kind of suffers from the lack of a real antagonist. At first, it's kind of sort of ish General Hale, then it's kind of sort of ish her daughter, then it's kind of sort of ish General Talbot, and it becomes a little convoluted. This second arc also drags just a little bit. It could shave off an episode or two. And I feel like the storyline, minor spoiler here, the subplot about Hale having contact with aliens really didn't pay off. Let's talk about the season finale. So, at the time it was written, the show was on the brink of cancellation, and so they wrote the finale to be both a season finale and a series finale. And I feel like the writers did a good job ending the story while at the same time leaving room for more in case the show got renewed, which it did. And I know some people wanted an Infinity War tie-in, but after seeing Infinity War, I'm okay with the fact that the show didn't tie into it. So part 2 is character. So first up is Coulson. So one of the few things that I felt that Season 4 was lacking was a good arc for Coulson. This season makes up for that. I've always loved Clark Gregg in this role, and we see a man on the brink of losing everything he's ever cared about. His love, May, the daughter he never had in Daisy, and his surrogate family in the rest of the team. And I'm glad that we finally get to see Coulson and May get a little bit of a romance. Next up is Daisy. Now she's arguably the most fleshed out character on the show. She's had the most amount of character development since Season 1. I've loved seeing her transform from this morally gray hacker character to a strong warrior. And I like how this season puts her in the position of a leader, and seeing her question if she's good at being a leader. Fitz and Simmons have really good arcs too. I like how over the course of 5 seasons they've gone from bickering scientists to the show's power couple. We see Fitz dealing with a version of PTSD after what happened in the last season. I like the part of the season where he's undercover because he has to act like the doctor from the previous season. We also see Fitz battling the one thing that he's known his whole life: science. He believes that time is fixed, and so there's no way that they can stop the world from ending. Simmons' arc is not quite as interesting as Fitz's, but it's still good. Since she's the optimistic one of the pair, she believes that time is not fixed and that they can change the future. She also believes that since her and Fitz apparently survive the apocalypse and somehow make it to the lighthouse, that they're completely invincible until they change time. These 2 characters will be discussed more in the spoiler section. Mac and Yo-Yo also get more development. The relationship between the two is one of the strongest in the show. Mac steps up to the role of the leader in the first arc and realizes he's actually good at it. We continue to see him being a compassionate man and always willing to help others. Yo-Yo is promoted to a regular in this season. We see her haunted by what she sees in the future, and see her being forced to make very hard decisions. I feel like she contributes to the show thematically more than any other character. I'll explain why in the spoiler section. The only main character who really doesn't get an arc is Melinda May. While I really like Ming-Na Wen in the role, her character just kind of repeats arcs from previous seasons. As for supporting characters, I really love the inclusion of Deke. He's a man who's lost everything and has become nothing more than an individual trying to survive. We see the agent's heroic actions changing him into a better man. I also think the character was a good love interest for Daisy, and that the writers did a good job making him different from her previous love interests. He also provided some much needed comic relief, which the show needed when it got darker and grittier. The other supporting characters during the first arc, such as Flint and Ben and Tess, they're pretty good. Their arcs are similar to Deke's, while at the same time being their own characters. I wish that some of the supporting characters in the second arc had gotten more development, like Agent Piper and Agent Davis. As for villains, the bad guy in the first arc is a Kree named Cassius, and he's okay. And the writers do make him complex. The actor is so over the top sometimes that he's kind of laughable. I like the scene where his brother confronts him because it shows that he's not as weak as he seems and that he's not a traditional Kree. The second arc has multiple antagonists, but they're all pretty good. While General Hale and her daughter Ruby originally just seem like generic suits, they're actually very similar but very different. We learn that they both grew up lacking one of the season's main themes, choice. They also decide to take their lives into their own hands and make their own choices. But while Hale decides to use her new power of choice for something she believes to be the right thing, Ruby uses it for selfish reasons. However, they both come off as tragic figures in the end. So, minor-ish spoiler here, General Talbot plays an antagonistic role in the second arc. He's an okay villain of sorts, because we see a man whose sanity has been pushed to its limits, and who has delusions of grandeur. The thing that stands out about him is Adrian Pastar's performance, which I really like. So part 3 of this review will cover theme. I've already touched on the theme of choice. This season finds the agents asking themselves that if they have a choice. This season finds the agents asking themselves that if the future is set in stone, do they really have the ability to make choices and decisions? Another big theme in this season is loss. The loss of Earth, the loss of humanity, the loss of identity, the loss of loved ones, and the loss of yourself. Since the agents are trying to stop a future where everything is lost, they ask themselves if they are destined to lose certain things. The season also asks what it means to be a hero. This season makes the argument that compassion, selflessness, and bravery are what makes a hero. Since the team goes to a future where humans are under an alien race's thumb, heroes have vanished. I like the scene where Simmons tries to save someone's life in the future, and the other humans are genuinely surprised. I like how this ties thematically into the first episode of the show, where Mike Peterson has delusions of being a hero. I also like how the speech that Daisy gives Talbot sums up this motif. She says that a person doesn't need superpowers or power in general to be a hero, they just need to do the right thing at the right time. I love how Coulson's speech perfectly blends these 3 main themes. I won't spoil much, but he says that being a hero is hard because doing the right thing has consequences. People who sign up to be a hero make the choice to lose things that are important to them. So, loss is the price of choosing to be a hero. So skip to this time on the clock to skip the spoilers. First up, I wish that Fitz hadn't died the way he did. I wish that he had learned that time is not set in stone and that they did succeed in changing the timeline. However, his death was very emotional, even if they retcon it in the 6th season, by having Simmons awaken him from his cryogenic sleep. And I like how they left Coulson's fate ambiguous. While the finale implies that he peacefully dies after spending some time with May, they could change that in the 6th season. I admire how dark the show got, killing good characters like Enoch, Virgil, and Ben, and even killing bad characters like Hale, Ruby, and Von Strucker in pretty gruesome ways. Like I said, Yo-Yo is the character who contributes to the show the most thematically. She sees herself in the future, a person who has died and has been resurrected multiple times. She is haunted by the fact that the future version of her tells her that they have to let Coulson die. She has to make a very hard choice, and that choice may cost her the title of hero. I wish that Deke had gotten a more satisfying ending to his arc. I get that they wanted to keep his fate ambiguous in case the show was renewed for a 6th season, but that last time we see him, he was trying to see the world before he died. And he wasn't trying to do the right thing. He was trying to do what he wanted, which goes against his character arc. While I really enjoyed seeing characters like Lance Hunter and Deathlock and Anton Ivanov again, I feel like they were a little wasted. Coulson's speech in the finale had me on the verge of tears. It perfectly summed up the themes of the show and everything that the characters have been through. So all in all, this is a very good season. It's definitely a step up from the first 3 seasons. The characters have satisfying arcs and the plot is exciting and suspenseful. I think I like the first arc more than the second, because the second one lacks a good villain and drags a little bit pace-wise. I'd have to rewatch the show in order to get a definitive ranking of the seasons, but I think this would be it. I think 4 is probably the best, and this is a close second, followed by 1, then 3, then 2. I'm not sure exactly how those final 3 I would rearrange. I'm pretty sure 1 would be my favorite, and 2 and 3 are kind of eh. So this show went from mediocre to one of Marvel's best TV shows. I haven't, established a rating system yet, so I don't know exactly what I'd give it, but I'd give it a very high rating and would definitely recommend it. So yeah, be sure to subscribe. Bye.